Hey, what's going on, Cashflow Hackers? It's Chris with Life 180. I got Robert Reichert here I'm in South Carolina at their office, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely, glad to have you.
So if you guys are not familiar with who Robert is the top IUL litigation attorney in the country. And we've been talking for, just over half a year at this point in time, going through discussing his background in the impact that he's made in kind of fighting the fight against all the illicit cases that you're seeing.
It's been a wild ride over almost 8 years now, and it was great that you reached out. I guess about last September, October, because one of my big things is when I first got into IUL litigation, I literally could not find any information about it other than from the people that sell it.
Right.
And I got into it by accident. I'm a litigator. I've been a lawyer since 1997. Our law firm, it's behind us. It's Reichert Pappas. We'll talk about that in a minute. So we got something exciting going on in IUL world. But totally. I got my first IUL case in like January, February of 2018. Yeah. And I'd done lots of securities litigation. I'd done lots of very sophisticated litigation across the country on insurance products and VULs. I'd never heard of an IUL, never heard of one. And so myth number one, it's only sold to rich people.
Totally.
Shocker. I know a lot of rich people.
Yeah, exactly.
And guess what? None of them have IULs.
Exactly.
Because it's nonsense. But I started calling around to my securities experts that I'd used in securities cases. And they were like, oh yeah, VUL. I'm like, no, not a VUL, an index universal life litigation. And they said, never heard of it. So I spent a year reading policies, trying to figure it out. And I literally found a mathematician at the University of Texas, Austin, who had written a paper on the mechanics of how index crediting works in an IUL.
Really?
And I flew out there and met with him for 2 days, and I'll never forget, it was like that scene, I always say it's like that scene out of Rain Man, where they're writing all this stuff on the whiteboards.
I think of like Good Will Hunting
or like
too,
Einstein
right?
or Good Will Hunting, same thing. And we had all these whiteboards, and for 2 days he wrote all these formulas down. And so finally I just looked at him and said, look man, I'm just a lawyer. Are you telling me that you can never put a fixed amount of premium payments in, stop, then take policy loans, and this thing will be tax-free income for retirement? And he thought, and he thought, and he thought, and he said, yeah, that's what I'm telling you, it won't work. And it blew my mind. And then 10 cases became 50 cases, and now 8 years into this project, we have litigated over 400 cases for families across the country, collected tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars in settlements, took one to trial last year, got a $1.5 million verdict. And when that happened, and the combination of what's going on in market dynamics, our IUL practice has exploded. We get probably 5 or 6 calls a day, and it's the same story. I've lost my life savings, what do I do? 100%.
So with that said, you started this in 2018, it's now 2025, right?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what you've seen, the growth of this, right? Because like with the creation of TikTok and the IMOs that are doing this now and the influencers that are misrepresenting what this product is designed for.
And I'm going to speak directly to young professionals who've either graduated high school, graduated college, who've been lured into a multi-level marketing. You've been wined and dined at a sales conference, and they've sold you the illustration. You're being misled. There are 2 kinds of agents in the IUL world. There's the agents who believe in the product and they believe what they're selling and they think it's okay. And I feel sorry for those people because eventually they're going to meet me and it's not in a good way.
And those people, for the record, or I'll have you confirm this, those are typically newer people in the business.
They're newer people in the business. It takes about 2 or 3 years, I find, for you to sort of have this, to use the language of some of the salespeople in this business, the transformation, and you look at those annual statements year over year, and you're watching policy charges go up, you're watching cost of insurance go up, you're watching fees and expenses go up, and you're watching cash accumulated value go down.
Totally.
And how in the world do you get out of that? So that's that group. There's another group that knows exactly what they're doing. and they're doing it intentionally, and I see them over and over because I sue them over and over. And they are selling these as a pie in the sky, tax-free retirement income, better than 401k, better than Roth,
Right.
the best place to put your money, the secrets of the wealthy. You guys have all probably heard these catchphrases. They call themselves financial consultants, wealth architects is my favorite one, retirement planners. They're just insurance agents, and they're taking advantage of people, all based on the commission structure.
Right.
Like and people ask me all the time, they're like, oh, there's no way these agents are doing this intentionally. I've got one case, most of my cases are really big damages cases.
Yeah.
The first year commission in this one deal was $931,000 in commission. That is a big incentive to do the wrong thing.
Totally. So many moral hazards built into
Oh
the way
my God.
they're designed.
And now all the companies are, with AG 49 and A and B, they use these different little tricks inside the policy mechanics to illustrate it differently. And I'm also seeing, like, if you're getting sold by an IMO, show the illustration, but then also show this proprietary illustration we use. That's a red flag, because all carriers don't allow that.
Well, it's illegal. It's illegal. It's non-compliant.
Well,
Like,
we would call it a violation of the rules and regulations of the carrier.
Okay,
But
yeah.
You're not allowed to do that.
If you do that, you will get fired. Like,
You not only will you get fired, you'll get a chargeback. The company, when I sue them, will say that guy did something he wasn't supposed to do. It's all his fault.
Yeah.
We're abandoning him.
you better have really good E&O coverage. And
better.
even then,
Yes.
it's pretty bad.
And
Like,
if you're
either
selling
way.
premium finance, you need to look at your E&O coverage, because a lot of your E&O coverages disclaim premium finance, so you're left holding the bag. They have exclusions in there. If you sell
Really?
a premium finance
I did
policy,
not know that.
we will not cover you if you get sued.
Wow. So you mentioned IMOs, and you mentioned the bad actors, the people
Yeah.
that you're suing over and over and over again, right? Like the two different groups. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like three groups in a way. Like you have
is, yeah.
you have the new agents, and the new agents fall into, they may be independent, they may be in an IMO, but they kind of fall into this. Well, I mean, it was me at one point in time, right? I sold
Yeah.
IUL for 4 years until
Right.
it took me 4 years to figure it out, right? And so it happens. Like, I think most people get into the business because they want to help, right? And they
Yeah.
want to do the right thing. They want to educate people, and they drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak,
for
right?
sure. Yes.
And so it takes time. And the thing I always say to people is, like, there's two agents. There's the new agents that just don't know what they don't know yet, and they trust the people that are mentoring them.
Correct.
And then there's the agents that have been around, and the agents that have been around for, I say 6 to 7 years, because I've seen illustrations for 4 or 5 years that still look okay.
Yeah.
And when I say they look okay, cap rates maybe came down or whatever, but these things are a bit more sophisticated than most people are accustomed to dealing with.
Correct.
And what happens is, like, I did a video one time at year 7 and of an in-force illustration policy that was sold in 2018. At year 7, it was only like $300 off of what the original illustration was. The challenge is that if you go out based on the current in-force illustration, because cap rates had been dropped by 35%
Yep.
from like 10.5 to 7,
Yep.
right? Now the even though at year 7, the cash value is on par. So if you're looking at it just at the ledger, you're like, it's not doing that bad, right? And as a client, you're looking at it being like, might not be horrible, right? Like it's a rounding error, right? Like $300 at that point is kind of a rounding error. The problem is when you project out based on the new current assumptions, you're talking $140,000 that was different at age 65, right? And the income was dropped by like 40% and like everything. And it's just gonna get worse from there.
Well, and you layer in, like, the only thing I see, the only calls I get are sold for investment or sold for tax-free retirement.
Right.
So that always anticipates a policy loan at some point.
100%.
And once you have that example that you're talking about, there are probably no policy loans that have been taken yet.
No policy loans taken
Exactly.
yet. Correct.
So you still, even though, if like, I'm looking at one right now, this guy's been paying thousands of dollars per month, every month for 10 years. He's put $600,000 into it.
Oh.
His cash surrender value is $640,000 after 10 years.
Put 600,000 in.
Put
He's got
600 in.
640.
Got 640. Never taken a policy loan.
Okay.
I ran a well-managed damages analysis, and obviously it's the S&P 500 index credit they chose.
Yep.
If you just put that money month over month in the S&P 500, it'd be worth 1.6 million.
I was going to say
right
1.8, but 1.6.
Now, yeah, you got to worry about
there's
volatility,
all the
ups and so, whatever.
Sure.
But year over year, the S&P 500 tends to perform at about 10% over the last 20 years.
Okay.
And this was sold to him by an investment advisor, not an insurance agent, somebody securities licensed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and I'll show you later, you talk about asset allocation, that's the big thing. Ask yourselves, if you're an insurance agent and you're being told to encourage people to put 80, 90, 100% of their money into an IUL, are you diversifying? And the answer is no.
Right.
And that is a red flag. You're being told inappropriately how to solve that, and you're going to get in trouble eventually.
Well, and we've talked about this a lot just off camera, is like one of the top reasons, and maybe I'm saying this a little differently than you would, but I'll say it and then you can rephrase it, right, in whatever legal terms need to be done. My layman's way of saying it is a lot of the cases that you're winning are being won due to a lack of good faith by the insurance companies.
Yes.
Right? When everybody wants to assign this like moral high ground or moral value, like the life insurance company would not lie to me on the illustration. They wouldn't allow us to illustrate these things in this way if they didn't work that way. And so agents want to believe them, but in fact, the reason that these insurance companies are losing is because two things basically, and add to or correct me, whatever. A lack of good faith on the illustrations, i.e. they know they're not going to perform the way that they're illustrated.
Correct.
And B, that they're being sold by people like these IMO agents that are doing these financial literacy presentations just to sell an IUL as an investment. And so as soon as you sell an insurance policy as an investment, you're done.
Correct. I mean, first of all, you're not allowed to say any type of insurance product, unless it's a VUL, is an investment, because that's actually a securities product.
You got to be
that's
registered.
An investment. Investment is a term of art. It means you can give investment advice.
Sure.
If you were securities licensed, you know this.
Yeah. And you have to be really careful with your language.
And you have to be very careful on how you say things, what you haven't. That's what all sales material for investment advisors is supposed to be looked at by a compliance officer.
Or suitability.
Yeah, but insurance agents who are calling themselves financial planners or financial consultants or wealth managers or wealth architects, first of all, you're violating securities rules, number one. And number two, I'll tell you something, maybe you don't know this. These guys and ladies who get taught, like, go out and tell customers that a IUL is better than a 401k or a Roth, and they need to reposition or they need to reallocate.
What do they call it? Some people online, some of the big names are strategic rollout.
Strategic rollout. A rollout. I've seen strategic rollout. I've seen IRA reboot. I've seen Roth reposition. I've seen retirement analyzer.
So what you're saying is all those lose in court.
Not only that, but guess what happens when you're insurance licensed and that's it, and you sit down with a potential customer and you say, we're going to move your 401k and reposition it into an IUL. Do you know what you just did?
A violation of securities.
You just gave securities advice.
Yeah.
Because securities advice is three things: buy, sell, or hold a security. And when you say move your 401k, what you're advising is to sell positions in that 401k, which is made up of bonds and equities. You've just committed a securities violation.
You can't, as an advisor, as a life insurance agent, whatever you want to call yourself, if you're only licensed as an agent, and for the record, I only have my insurance license at this point in time. I used to have all my securities licenses and I gave them up for a lot of reasons because it was in alignment with what I want to do. But if you are an insurance agent only, you cannot give any advice. You can't even really express a fully formed opinion.
No.
Like if Robert has an IRA or a Roth or whatever, and I'm coaching him, or if I'm talking to him about his financial advice, and by the way, this happens to me all the time, right? Where I'm an agent, I'm a financial coach, right? Because I do a lot of real estate investing. I coach people to real estate investing, right? We utilize whole life insurance as a savings vehicle. And when people go, hey, I've got an IRA or a Roth, that to me is where I have relationships with CFPs and I say, listen, Robert, I can't do anything. I cannot even give you an opinion about that.
Can't talk about it.
I will get you in connection with my business partner who's a licensed, registered advisor, CFP, all that stuff. But that's not what most people do because typically,
I mean, I was flipping through something that was stomach turning last night.
Oh boy.
I got on TikTok.
Oh gosh.
And the first thing I saw was
setting aside $300 from each paycheck into a max funded IUL instead of your 401k will turn into $1,236,000 tax-free and will pay you $86,000 income every year in retirement.
Now let me tell you, everything about that is a lie.
A lie.
It's a misrepresentation.
Yep.
And I looked this lady up. She's not securities licensed.
And
so she has written, this is an advertisement.
That's a breach.
On TikTok.
Yep.
That is talking about
is
doing
it sponsored,
this.
Or is it
no.
So it's just a video. It's
Instead of putting it into your 401k, if a securities regulator had time, whatever state she's in, they would send her a cease and desist letter and they would fine her thousands of dollars.
So why are they not doing it?
Because they're overwhelmed and they're overworked. You know, I've litigated IUL cases now in approximately 30 states around the country.
Okay.
So I talk to,
That's
it's a lot. I talk to a lot of regulators. And if you're a customer watching this, or if you're an agent who tried to help somebody with an IUL, what's the first thing that happens? Usually is you write a letter to who? The carrier,
The insurance
right?
carrier, 100%.
And what do you get back from the carrier? About a 7-page letter from their chief of regulatory and compliance that has a lot of terms that are really complex and really complicated.
Yep.
And most people look at that and go, I feel like a dummy. I didn't know what I was doing. I guess it's my fault. Or an insurance regulator or a securities regulator gets that and goes, man, I've got a stack of fraud this high.
Yep.
I'm sorry somebody got screwed in an insurance policy. We don't have time for that.
And it's tough because most policies that are being sold, let's use this as an example, this TikTok screenshot, setting aside $300 from each paycheck. Let's call it 2 paychecks a month.
Yeah.
That's $600 a month. That's $7,200 a year. From a regulatory perspective, it's like there's so many other high level, high value things that are being addressed and dealt with that they don't have the ability or capacity, manpower to deal with that kind of stuff.
Right now, I mean, just look at the news. Every single day there's a new news report about a Ponzi scheme that blows up. So most securities regulators are focused on this $4 million here that blew up, or this guy that stole $6 million. There's one going on in the upstate of South Carolina right now. They're finishing out. It was $300 million Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
You know, that is what they're spending their time on. So when they get a complaint about some
$7,200
lady on
a year.
TikTok talking about 401ks versus IUL, they're like, we just don't have time. And so that's where I come in.
Right. And the scary part with that, though, is that these regulators across the country are being so overwhelmed because we have thousands of TikTok agents.
Oh my God.
Thousands of these people, influencers, right?
It's crazy.
That are marketing, misrepresenting what these do, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you know.
Yeah, and so you think about it like two rivers, right? You have a river of securities advisors that are governed either by FINRA or the SEC, depending on where you fall in regulatory environment.
Sure.
So they set the rules across the country.
Yeah.
Then you have this massive ocean that is IUL. That's regulated by 50 different departments of insurance. And not all departments of insurance have the same resources. They're not aligned.
100%. And they don't talk to each other.
And they don't talk to each other.
And so like
yes.
this is an example. Am I allowed to name names?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So Curtis Ray,
Yeah.
MPI, got busted in Washington.
State of Washington, because of the work I do, I know that state of Washington has a very active regulatory environment where their securities departments are well staffed and their insurance department is well staffed.
Okay.
Like, I've read all the Curtis Ray Washington State Court orders and documents. They did a fantastic job.
They made him scrub all of his TikTok, all of his YouTube. But the crazy part is he's back at it again. He's just repositioned. He's changed some language.
You know, my favorite word is rebrand, right? They rebrand.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to rebrand, not start a new brand. But
totally.
I mean, it is true because it's just like, think about it with AG 49 and AG 49A and B. What did the carriers do when they came out? Like, all right, you can't illustrate this way. So they created little bonusing, crediting indexes or bonus or performance bonuses inside the policy that they're still illustrating to the max allowed rate, but they're putting little riders inside the contract for the first 3, 4, 5 years that illustrates it higher index credits, but then usually falls off in year 6 and rips the rug out from under you.
Yep.
I had that happen to a client now where it was a premium finance deal, and it was illustrating at 13, it was indexing at 13.5% per year, which was amazing. But guess what happened when the rider expired? Cratered to 7, which was below his interest rate on his premium finance. And he got a letter from the lender and said, hey, yo, it's an extra $500,000. We need that by next Tuesday, or we're surrendering your policy.
Oh, that's rough.
It's a bad day.
It's a really bad day.
But you know what really sort of turns my stomach, there's been this life cycle of IUL, right? And you write about it in your book, which is, it's interesting. And one reason that I talk to you and collaborate with you and we're going to do these videos is because I think, A, your heart's in the right place, but you really know this stuff. I mean, you sold it.
Yeah.
And then
it was my job to train agents on it.
But then looking at the mathematics after I say this all the time, agents are trained to sell the illustration. They're not trained to sell the product.
100%.
Because if you read the product and you understand how index crediting actually works, which I would bet you 99.9% have no idea how it actually works.
Yep, totally.
Then you would understand that the illustration is great, and if it worked, I would own an IUL, and everyone in my office would own an IUL.
100%.
But it doesn't, because that's not the real world. Now, let's talk about that for a second, because most agents who are getting into this business, I do 3 things. I litigate people out of their problems, number 1. But my biggest success is when I can give it some young insurance agent not to get into this business, and 2, somebody who's about to get pitched on this not to buy one.
Right.
Because that stops a problem before it starts. Yes, those illustrations.
That's horrible for your business, by the way.
Terrible for my business. Terrible for my business. And I've done it multiple times where people have called me and said, hey, I'm going to buy this. Should I? I'm like, no.
But you got plenty of other work to be done.
Oh my God, I got more work than we know what to do with.
Because of all the bad shit that's happened over the past.
But yeah, an actuary has looked at that illustration that you are presenting to a customer, and it has passed actuarial rules.
Right.
All that means, Chris, is 2 + 2 = 4. Does 2 + 2 = 4?
I hope so.
Okay, yeah, right. But can I sit there and say, if you invest $2 every month for the next 30 years, you will get this amount of money in tax-free retirement income?
No, but the thing is that they tell you. I remember when I was first becoming an entrepreneur and an investor, and I had this mentor, and I got burned really bad in this one deal that I made. And my mentor came up to me, he's like, Chris, you should have seen it coming, right? Because they told you what they were going to do. And when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. Right?
Yeah.
And so when I look at IUL companies, most of them did UL.
Right.
Most of them, if you look at the illustrations, they tell you exactly what they can do. And if they can do it, they most likely will do it at some point in time. And so they tell you who they are. Correct. So believe them. Don't believe the ledger, believe all the fine print.
Right. But if you try to read the fine print, it's almost incomprehensible.
Yeah.
Like I have literally pulled out policies and depositions and had an agent that had sold the policy read a paragraph and say, explain that to me. And they've looked at me and gone, I can't.
But that said, that becomes a buyer beware kind of conversation, right? You should never put your money into anything you don't understand.
Yeah, well, that is true. And people ask me all the time, they're like, well, how do people get tricked into this? Well, number 1, it's not Joey Bag of Donuts insurance agency selling this. My clients are shown Pacific Life, Allianz, Minnesota Life, National Life, Mutual of Omaha.
The big players, F&G.
The most trusted names in the industry. You watch the PGA on Sundays. They're the company sponsoring the tournament.
I know.
And what do they tell them? They're like, Chris, this is a secret of the wealthy.
Can you watch a PGA?
I teach tax professionals and advisors how to sell this product and the mechanics of this product. And there is hundreds of millions of dollars of marketing that goes into IUL to convince the public this is the real deal. And I have really sophisticated clients who have gotten duped into this.
Yeah.
Because it's just really, really, look, these are some of the best salespeople in the industry.
Totally.
I mean, it's amazing. I've deposed them. They're fantastic. I mean, I've deposed Doug Andrews. I was enamored with Doug. I could listen to Doug talk for days.
Oh my gosh.
But at the end of the day, he's a sales
Could
guy.
you though? I think I would throw up if I had to listen to him.
Well,
if I had to listen to him for that long, yeah.
I kind of know Doug's BS, so I have a high BS meter. But it is interesting to hear these guys
It's
talk
entertaining
about these products.
at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I want to do, guys, so like if you're watching this, if you're an agent, I would, and you're looking at selling IUL, I really encourage you, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to put a link in the description below to Robert's channel as well, because we're going to be creating a lot of content together on a regular basis, because we're hitting that place where this needs to be dealt with, right? And we're both kind of trying to lead the charge in our own ways and collaborating in a way that we want to serve people. So if you're an agent that's selling these and you're new in the business, right? I would say go to your upline, go to your, if you're in an IMO, go to your mentor, go to somebody who's been doing it for 10 years or more, and ask them to show you a policy, an in-force policy that has actually performed the way it was sold. We just came through the greatest bull run of all time.
Yeah.
So if these products provide upside potential in the greatest bull run of all time, they should have done that, right? So my encouragement to everybody, if you're newer in this business, go find somebody that can do that for you. And if they can't do that for you, and I promise you they can't, like call them to the carpet. They're gonna shame you in a way. They're gonna probably try to make you feel like just success leaves clues, do what I say, whatever. Because that's the kind of culture that typically is involved with all this stuff. So I would say make sure you do that, and if they can't prove it to you, which they won't be able to, I would really encourage you to look at a different way of doing things. Or once again, it's hard for me because I love life insurance as an asset when done the right way, as part of a bigger plan, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. But this stuff is just really dangerous, and I see, like, if you're in this business and you're new, the worst thing that can happen is you going out and talking to all your friends and all your family and getting all, like, you could literally destroy generational wealth.
Well, and you're going to ruin the relationships in your hometown, right?
100%.
And I'll tell you, I got a call the other day. It's an agent. He's been in the business for 3 years. And we have the website that it's locked now, but we got this beautiful picture.
What's this?
And he sent us an email. He said, look, I'm an agent. I've been selling IULs for 3 years, and I don't know what to do. I'm looking at this, and I don't think they work. And so I got him on a Zoom call, and I said, I'm happy to hear what's going on, man.
I wish more people were like that.
He said, I was recruited into a multi-level marketing IMO. They taught me how to sell these things. They never taught me how they worked. I never saw any guidance on, like, marketing content of who this is for. They just said, go sell these. This is how you sell it.
Yep.
And he said, I'm starting to look at the annual statements. I've sold like 30 of these. And I can't see mathematically, based on the numbers I'm seeing after 3 years, how they're going to catch up.
Right.
And I'm like, no, you're 100% correct. And he's like, I really feel lied to. And now I don't know what to do, because half these people were friends of mine, and I sold them this product. And I've got to figure out a way to meet with them and say, look, and they're small dollars, right? But to these people, they're not small dollars.
But small dollars relative to you and I are big dollars to other people.
Here's in my mind, my thinking on this has changed, and we'll talk about this more, but most of my clients are at a $500,000 or more loss, right? But I'm getting these people who were like, I've lost $14,000, I've lost $20,000, I've lost $16,000. That is my life savings. And they're writing letters to the carriers, and the carriers are telling them to go pound sand. And you got this guy who has gone out, it was MLM, so he recruited a bunch of friends, sold them, they've gone out and sold. Now they're all going, everyone in our town hates us because they're losing their money. And they're calling me going, I've put 20 grand in this, and it shows my cash surrender values were 0. I was told, I've got one lady, her kid needs braces. So she called up for a policy loan to pay for the braces. And the carrier was like, well, you don't have enough cash value to take a policy loan. And she said, well, I was sold to me as an investment and I would be able to take cash out anytime I wanted. And it's really frustrating. And I will tell you, like, if you're selling these, we're coming for you, because I'm going to make it a mission to shut down these people that are attacking low income and middle income people and taking their money just to make a commission and prop up some crappy IMO.
You know what we should do by the end of the day? Does this do the internet?
Yeah.
So we should pop up and watch a couple videos and react.
Oh my God! I signed up for TikTok last night for the first time, and I typed in IUL, and after the first 10 videos, I wanted to go throw up.
Right.
Because they're lying.
Yeah.
They're misrepresenting how it works, and they're making promises that aren't true.
Yeah.
And somebody like me is going to capture that, and I'm going to sue you. Yeah. And I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to walk you through, when I get the policies and procedures from the carrier, how you violated like 9 of them.
Yeah. So just to end this, guys, too, on this first video, once again, subscribe to both our channels if you want to get notified when these new videos come out. But the last thought that I kind of wanted to finish on is, you talked about how when this guy that this agent, after 3 years, 30 policies, never had any product training. A lot of people will say, well, we get product training. But the problem is that product training is just from the carriers, right? And the carriers that are training on this stuff to the agents, they're not training how to do it. Like, they're not training agents how it actually works. They're training you how to sell it, not how it actually works. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, if you're meeting with a field rep or a senior vice president or somebody in
an RVP or
an RVP, you're meeting with the sales team. Who you need to meet with is the actuary team.
Which they won't give you access to.
They won't give you access to. And you need to meet with the options budget team.
Right.
And ask them mathematically, explain how the index crediting works year over year. Explain how you manipulate participation rates, explain cap rates, explain your options budget.
Right.
And I'm probably saying words right now that 99% of the IUL community that sells this doesn't know what I'm talking about.
But the challenge is we get a lot of people that do feel like they know and they feel like they understand. Like, I've got this one guy who always is messaging me and sending me emails like, Chris, you were wrong. This company just increased the cap rates. And it's like they increased it 50 basis points.
That's awesome. How much did they drag at it for cost of insurance, fees, and expenses?
Exactly.
Because what they don't understand, I even have defense lawyers. So like, but Robert, they illustrated at 6.3%, and look, the index crediting was 5.4. That's not that far off. I'm like, A, it's not that far off, but that's before you're stripping out cost of insurance, fees, expenses.
It's a gross number, it's not a net number.
And I'll tell you, if you're not doing it, if you're selling this stuff, get one of your, after the first year, grab one of your customers' annual statement, look at usually page 3 or 4, and look at how much in fees and expenses came out, and it'll blow your mind. Like, I've got one I'm going to show you later, that the first year premium was $125,000.
Okay.
Fees, expenses, cost of insurance, and load charges were $109,000.
Now, but to that point, like I have arguments from other people who are like the leaders. This is Doug Andrew would make this comment. People that work for Doug. I've got a guy, Brian, who's like really in that world, who would argue against it. Like other IUL influencers, leaders, where their stance is that, that's horrible and that's happening all the time.
Yeah.
As long as you design it properly, that doesn't happen.
Well, I wrote it down because I watched like 50 TikTok videos last night, and they always say properly structured and properly funded.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Well,
guideline level premium test.
Yeah,
ultimately.
But you know this.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just telling you what their answer would be.
If you know how to design an IUL, there's like an a la carte menu. You can pick what's the term blend. What's option A, B, or C?
Right.
What is our guideline premium?
Right.
What's the death benefit we're going for?
Right.
So first of all, what I see is these guys, particularly that shop you mentioned, they meet with people because they call themselves holistic financial consultants. And that meeting is to do one thing. It is to figure out how much money you have available that they can put into an IUL. That's why the first thing that struck me when I got my first IUL case was, I have insurance. When I was young, I'm a lawyer, I had a young family. I bought a term policy and I bought a whole life policy. and the death benefit was in nice round numbers. Every IUL I've ever seen has been like $3,472,382.16. And I'm like, who comes up with that?
Kind of strange, yeah.
Because what they're doing is they're backing in
Yeah.
to a formula,
Yeah.
how much you, the customer, can deploy into what they're selling you.
For sure.
To make sure it's not a mech. And they're getting this weird death benefit, number one. So they're not designing what you need in a death benefit. That's the first red flag.
We do this, for the record, we do that with whole life as well. But like the challenge is, and the trick is, it never works the way it's illustrated with IUL.
But you're using whole life for a whole different model.
100%.
Guaranteed.
Right.
You can
100%.
show them exactly, this is what it's going to cost.
I can show them worst case scenario.
This is how much you're going to pay.
100%.
And this is what it'll look like.
Right.
You cannot do that in an IUL.
Right.
You can
Even though they want to tell you that they can.
Well, you know, you can look at a 50-page illustration and you can find a little block about that big that we'll have guaranteed, and guess what it shows?
Not much.
Lapse.
Lapse.
That's what it shows.
Right.
And anytime we run enforces, once a client comes to us, they all lapse because they don't work.
How old is the typical policy for a client that comes to you that is like, holy crap, Robert, I've got this going on, I'm losing money, it's not what I thought it was, I don't understand it. Like, how far into the policy are they typically before they,
So it's usually about 3 to 6 years, because what happens is, everybody's a little different, but it's always some form of this, which is you get that first annual statement, you know how much you've paid in premium, and you see your cash surrender value 0.
Yeah.
And so what does it do? Well, in the annual statement, it says, if you have questions, call who?
Call your agent.
Call the guy who sold it to you.
Yeah, of course.
And so what's he going to say? Oh my God, I can't believe this. Let's see what's happening.
Right.
It's always some version of, oh, Chris, these are really complex.
Yeah.
You got to let it work.
Yeah.
It's going to take time. It takes time.
Yeah.
Remember the illustration. We showed you all those years and how it will build up. Just let this thing work. It's super complex. Don't worry about it. Then year 2, then year 3, and they're seeing costs go up. They're seeing policy values decline, and they're going, oh, wait a minute, this was for retirement. And a lot of my people are retirement age that are being sold this.
Totally. Oh, 100%.
Which is crazy.
It's batshit crazy.
It's batshit crazy.
It's batshit crazy. Like the fact, if you're 60, 58, 55 to 60 and older,
and then they
like
call
buying
me.
these for retirement, like it 100% of the time is not the right product for you. If you're looking at using it for income.
100%.
100% of the time, IUL is not the right product for you. I mean, almost ever, but like, especially if you're 55.
Look, I've been doing this litigation for 8 years.
Yeah.
I've sued the biggest carriers in the country. I've sued the biggest IMOs in the country. I've sued the biggest selling agents in the country. You know what I've never seen? I've never seen a tax-free retirement strategy that was actually working. Never. And I've looked at probably, at this point, around 600 policies.
Like big policies.
Big policies.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. These guys all sell on usually a 3 to 5 to 7 pay.
Sure.
And they say, then it's fully funded. Now that's a term of art. That means something else. But what it means to them is you're done paying premiums. You'll never have to pay it again.
And that's a sales tactic.
It's a huge sales tactic.
And it's positioned as if you don't have no more fees, no more expenses, no more nothing. Because they have vanishing premiums. They don't show.
The whole thing was, like in this case that I tried in Idaho last year, she had $1.5 million in cash. She had just sold an apartment building, which was her retirement. So what'd they do?
$300,000 a year for 5 years.
They put all $1.5 million into an IUL. So she was 69 years old, not married, no children, does not need life insurance. It was a straight up retirement play.
Wow.
And at that age, with cost of insurance up year over year, and the ability to never ever pay a premium after that 1.5 is deployed, once she starts taking policy loans, the thing will rapidly eat itself.
We could go on and on and on about this, but like the argument that most agents would say is like, hey, if the older they are, you can manage the death benefit and shrink the corridor, so like the cost of insurance would be negligible. That's the argument.
Oh my God, but
Right?
yeah, but they don't understand how the fees and expenses work inside these policies. They don't understand like the options budgets that go behind this. And right now with massive volatility, they don't even know what an option is. Like when I get in depositions and I say, explain a put or a call or a collared hedge option strategy to me, they look at me like I'm speaking a foreign language. And I say, you know, that's how the index crediting works.
That's when you think about like, and I'll truly end with this time. When you think about how options work and how, when you look at the insurance company, like first of all, there's a lot of different ways to do options, right?
Oh my God.
Different ways to leverage and speculate and create massive asymmetric returns. None of that is what the insurance company is doing. They are doing a simple hedging strategy. And if you understand the concept of hedging, they're not trying to get you big returns. They're trying to mitigate risk. And they're like, to think that an IUL is going to outperform the general fund of the insurance company long term is just delusional, right?
Let me tell you something.
And so with that said, let me just finish, and then you can end it. But like, that's the problem. Like right now, a general fund of a life insurance company is going to do 4.5 to 5% best, right? And so when you add in the fact that you are illustrating these at 5.9 to 6.4 kind of on average, that may not seem like a big difference, but if you go say 4.9 to 5.9, that's like almost a 20% reduction in performance. That may not seem like a lot, but that compounds and blows up your policy.
Look,
like
these insurance companies are like casinos, man.
Yeah.
The house always wins.
Right.
They always, and they're very good at it. They've been in business for a long,
they have to make money.
Long time. They have to make money.
They have to make money.
And they're the best at mitigating and managing risk. And the strategies they are using to figure out and create the index crediting are boring. They're buying long-term bonds because they're conservative, and they're buying the most conservative option strategy there is. But the problem is when their option strategy doesn't work, they just lose the cost of the contract. And so that means in any given year, their cost of investment could be much higher than anticipated, which means they're going to lower your index crediting as they can under the contract. And when they look at the benchmark, they're not going to credit the index as much. Because again, the insurance company is always going to stay positive, and if it's to the detriment of a policyholder, so be it. Because what happens if there's a problem? They just send you a nice little letter and say, Chris, your policy's about to lapse.
What they did with
send
your guy,
us more
they
money.
Need to send more money,
send
otherwise
more money.
It's going to be lapsing.
Correct.
You know, and then
if
it lapses
can we
and
talk
you have
about
loans
this one
out,
thing?
it's a taxable event.
Say that again, because most insurance agents don't even know.
If you have loans out on the policy and then the policy lapses and you are not able to write a 5 or 6 figure check in a lot of situations, it's going to be a taxable event. And it's not just taxable on the income you took, it's taxable on even the loan accumulation.
Correct. And it's taxed at ordinary income in that year, which could get you into the highest tax bracket.
Which most likely will get you.
And I've had that happen to clients. Like they get the double whammy of their policy lapses, they've taken a policy loan pursuant to the insurance agent's recommendation, and then the IRS says you owe taxes on that.
Right, totally. So craziness. So guys, hopefully you found value in this. I am really excited. I'm here. We're filming all day today. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. That way you're notified when we launch new videos. I'm going to put a link to Robert's channel down below. He's going to have a lot of his own great content. I really encourage you to check that out. If you're an agent that's looking for help, follow the link down below. If you're a client, I will say this. If you're a client that has an IUL, even if you don't feel like it's bad, if you're confused, if you're watching this and you have sold a policy or have a policy, I would encourage you, I'm going to put a link below. Talk to Robert's team. Get an evaluation. There's no harm in doing your due diligence.
We look at a lot of policies, a lot of illustrations, and we do a lot of things. We work out policies. We get to different professionals to help reposition if that's a possibility, and then as an ultimate, choice, we litigate. Yep, exactly. So, the way I look at it, it's your financial future on the line. It's your family's future. It's intergenerational legacy and wealth potential. It's potentially the biggest
decision you're ever going to make with your money on how you're handling this for most people. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. So all the links are down below. Check it out, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks, man.